Welcome to the wonderful world of fantasy football. Most of us have heard co-workers talk about the subject, but are unfamiliar about how it works. I want to inform and explain why this is such a fun pastime for so many. Fantasy football is believed to have started in 1962. The NFL.com fantasy football website was launched in 2010, and ever since then has grown exponentially. Ad revenue generated from fantasy football websites is estimated between $2 and $5 billion. Television shows, satellite radio, magazine publications are now dedicated to fantasy football news and player updates. I have some demographics here for you. 41 million people play fantasy football annually. 80% of those are male. 78% have a bachelor's degree or higher, and 40% say they will play for life. There are two types of leagues. There are daily leagues and there are season-long leagues. The daily leagues you can find on websites like FanDuel and DraftKings, but I'm specifically going to be talking about season-long leagues. They are, and specifically about the NFL and the NFL.com. On this website, each player in the league serves as a general manager or as a head coach. My first point I'd like to talk about is your team roster, the draft, and the waiver wire. In a standard league, your team will consist of 15 players from different NFL teams. So as you see here on your team roster, you're going to have one quarterback, you're going to have two running backs, you're going to have two wide receivers, you're going to have one tight end, you're going to have a flex position. The flex position can be either a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end. You're going to have a kicker, you're going to have a defense, and you're going to have 6 bench spots. These players can be interchanged with your regular bench. In order to get these players, you're going to need to draft. So at the start of the season, you're going to do what most commonly is called the snake draft. And this is the most common draft in a season-long league. There's 15 rounds because there's 15 roster spots. So how it works is, let's say you're the first pick in the draft, Team Red, you're going to get your first pick, Team Blue second, so on and so forth, all the way down to the 10th pick, Team Green. Team Green is going to get the 10th pick and the 11th pick, and then they're going to go back up the board again. So you can see why it's called the snake draft. Pretty simple. After you drafted your team, you can trade with other teams, you can trade players. That's kind of a fun part of the game. Plus, there's something called the waiver wire. So this is just as important as the draft into winning your league. Each week you can place a bid on a player. You add players to your roster, but you can only have as many roster spots as are allowed on your team. So you'll have to drop somebody. Any player that is not owned can be picked up. You will choose your wire picks based on, say, a new star is born, an unknown rookie came in and now is exploding on the scene. You're going to maybe want to pick him up. Maybe you have an injury on your roster. You're going to have to fill that spot. Or your player's on bye week. Each team in the NFL has a bye week once in the regular season. So you're going to have, maybe that's your quarterback. You're going to have to fill him in. Hopefully he's on your bench, but maybe you have to go to the waiver wire to attain him. My second point I'd like to talk about is the scoring breakdown. And as you can see here, 1 point for 25 passing yards, 1 point for 10 rushing yards, 1 point for 10 receiving yards, 6 points for a touchdown, 4 points for a passing touchdown by a quarterback, -2 points for every interception thrown, or -2 for a fumble loss by any player. You're going to get 1 point for each extra point made by a kicker. Your kicker is also going to kick field goals, so different points valued at different distances you're going to find. So the red is defensive points. 2 points per turnover gained by a defense. 1 point per sack by a defense. 2 points for a safety made by a defense. 6 points for a touchdown scored by a defense. And 2 points for each block kick. There's a new system. It's called PPR. It's fastly becoming the new standard. This places the emphasis on receivers. So point per reception, that's going to put your wide receivers at a higher value, as well as pass catching running backs. A lot of people like this format because there's a lot more wide receivers than there are any other players. So it makes the game more interesting and there's a lot more players to choose from. My third point I'm going to talk about is the regular season and the playoffs. So the way it works, in the regular season you have head-to-head matchups against a different opponent every week. The team that receives the most points in that week will win the head-to-head matchup. A team's total is the sum of players' points who were placed in the starting spot. So you're going to gain points from these players. You are not going to gain points from your bench. So anybody on your bench, you're not going to get points from. So hopefully you've made the right decisions that week. Next, the playoffs. So in a 10-team league, 6 teams will make the playoffs. Those 6 teams will have the best win-loss record. If teams are tied in the win-loss category, the tiebreaker will be points for in the season. So this is a basic playoff bracket in fantasy football. Your first place and second place teams in the quarterfinal will get a bye. Fourth and fifth will play each other. Third and sixth will play each other. Teams will advance to the semis. Then you'll advance to the championship round, and then a winner is crowned champion. Okay, prizes and trophies are predetermined before the regular season. Okay, and next I'd like to talk about the commissioner. The league commissioner is basically the league manager, but he's also a team owner. Most league managers can get put to a vote, but in the end he has the final say. There are endless draft styles, point system, regular season formats, playoffs, and other regulation options to choose from. Disputes may happen, and trades can be vetoed if everybody thinks there might be a shady trade between 2 friends. The commissioner has the responsibility of making sure things run smoothly. And finally, this game takes a few minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master. In order to get good and win championships, you're going to have to watch the games and get an understanding of the players involved. This is an excellent way for coworkers and friends to have a fun time playing a game. You will create friendships through this common interest and always have an interesting conversation at the water cooler. Some say fantasy football takes away from the sport. They say that it emphasizes on the player rather than the team. I believe that you'll have a good reason to watch any game that is being played, as you will most likely have a player on the field to cheer for. You'll have a personal interest in your player and still be able to watch your favorite team. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.